So Joe Biden is at a NATO summit, and the media has gone from asking really stupid questions that have a thin veneer of respectability over it to now just dropping the thin veneer of respectability, as you're about to see. I think what Max says here is an accurate summation of the question you're about to listen to, so let's take a look.
Cecilia, ABC. There you are. Oh,
so lucky that way. Thank you. Sir, you've made it very clear in this conflict that you do not want to see World War III. But is it possible that in expressing that so early that you were too quick to rule out direct military intervention in this war? Could Putin have been emboldened knowing that you are not going to get involved directly in this conflict?
no and no.
You do not believe that?
Oh, shit. Low-key, that was a based Biden answer. That was a good answer. Let's listen again.
ABC. There you are. Oh,
so lucky that way. Thank you. Sir, you've made it very clear in this conflict that you do not want to see World War III. But is it possible that in expressing that so early that you were too quick to rule out direct military intervention in this war? Could Putin have been emboldened knowing that you are not going to get involved directly in this conflict?
no and no.
You do not believe that?
Damn. That's like, give me that Biden more often, please. And actually, he should have said it with a little more anger in his voice. All right, so look, I know you guys probably already understand this, but we're going to dive into it for anybody who might be skeptical. Here's why what she is suggesting is absolutely insane. I mean, her question is, quite literally, by ruling out World War III, did you embolden him? Like, should you have maybe threatened World War III to try to get him to back down? My response is, well, what if he doesn't back down? What if he doesn't back down? What if he calls our bluff? Then what? Are we actually going to go to World War III over Ukraine? Now, don't get me wrong, like, I feel terrible for the people of Ukraine. You know, they're being illegally invaded by Vladimir Putin, who clearly has imperialist ambitions by his own words from his own speech, his blood and soil speech that he gave when he announced the invasion. So, like, I feel terrible for them, which is why I'm totally fine with defensive arms going to them as long as it doesn't go to the Azov Battalion neo-Nazis. But seriously, sit down and think about this. We're talking about World War, which is nuclear annihilation, and we're talking about it in the context of Ukraine. Like, are you willing to die to defend the territorial sovereignty of Ukraine? Now, if you're Ukrainian, maybe you answer yes to that, and I say, God bless you. But if you're living in Kentucky, I can't fault you if you're like, you know what? You could help them in a variety of different ways, but hell no, we're not going to World War III. So basically what she's saying is, hey, Joe Biden, were you too honest and too rational to tell the truth here and to say, we're not going to do World War III over this? No, I think honesty and rationality is always a defense. Now, to play devil's advocate for a second, from her perspective, she would argue, like, you don't want to be like Neville Chamberlain, right? Like, you don't want to wave the sheet of paper in the air that says, we just got peace, and you didn't get peace, and effectively Hitler was unappeasable, so he was just playing everybody for fools, and then he kept expanding, and he kept taking more and more territory. That's her claim. It's like, you know, are you basically trying to appease somebody who's unappeasable? And my response to that is, for the love of God, not every situation is comparable to Hitler and the Nazis. Like, it's amazing to me how quickly everybody goes to that example. Like, every country or dictator who we had a problem with over the past, like, 3 or 4 decades, the immediate comparison was Hitler. Gaddafi, Hitler. Saddam Hussein, Hitler. Bashar al-Assad, Hitler. Like, that's, everybody goes immediately to Hitler. Maybe it would help people if they learned a little bit more about history, and they had other examples that they could point to in history of where things went wrong. So the lesson of World War II was, yes, some people are unappeasable, and Hitler had global domination goals, and nothing was going to stand in his way, and any sort of negotiation or diplomacy was nonsense, and it was a show, and he was playing everybody for a fool. That was the lesson of World War II. What was the lesson of World War I? The lesson of World War I was, hey, maybe these mutual defense treaties are actually a terrible idea, because you had Archduke Franz Ferdinand get assassinated, and then next thing you know, this country's in a treaty with this country, and that country's in a treaty with this other country, and then everybody's dragged in because Archduke Franz Ferdinand was assassinated, and I'm sure, like, half the people or more in the war didn't even know what the fuck they were fighting for. So you had millions of people die, this global war, this giant catastrophe, blood everywhere, just lives wasted and upended and families obliterated. And it was all because everybody decided we were going to be in these mutual defense treaties. And so when one country gets dragged in, every other country gets dragged in. And effectively the argument being made here by the reporter, the implication is, you should be willing to get more involved and maybe threaten World War III over Ukraine. So, I honestly, you guys know my take. I'm generally non-interventionist when it comes to foreign policy, but this really highlights the hysteria and the mania currently going through our media and our politicians. This notion, like every single question is from the right. Every single question is pressure from a more hawkish and neoconservative position. Hey, why aren't you giving Zelensky exactly what he wants? Why aren't you providing the fighter jets? Well, the reason they wouldn't provide the fighter jets is because they'd have to take off from Poland, and Putin can interpret that as that's NATO attacking me and boom, we're in World War III. That's just one example, but there's a million questions of why not do exactly what Zelensky wants? Why not go tougher on Vladimir Putin? And by the way, usually they don't give specifics because they can't give specifics because Biden's basically doing everything he possibly can within reason. In fact, I'd argue he's gone too far. I'm in favor of sanctions on Putin and the oligarchs and the military, but he's gone beyond that. And he's trying to implode the entire Russian economy. That's collective punishment. That goes too far. But these guys in the media look at that and they go, well, that's not strong enough. You should be stronger. Hey, why aren't you threatening World War III? Hey, wouldn't it be intelligent to threaten World War III to maybe make him back down? Okay, and what if he doesn't back down? You shouldn't, in international affairs, when you're dealing with stakes this high, you shouldn't be bluffing. Bluffing is a very bad idea. That can go awry very quickly. So, look, my guess is either Putin will eventually take Kyiv and take Ukraine, but it'll be very difficult for him to hold it because there's an insurgency and there's guerrilla warfare, or there will just be a stalemate in insurgency and guerrilla warfare for a very extended period of time, and then after that extended period of time, there will be some, negotiation and diplomacy, and they'll make some sort of deal where maybe Luhansk, I'm forgetting the names on it now, the Donbass region, the two areas in the Donbass region that they're saying are independent states, that'll maybe become part of Russia, and there'll be, some deal worked out along those lines, and it's going to be a deal that makes nobody happy, but it will be a deal that effectively prevents World War III, and that would be a least bad option of all bad options, as opposed to what these guys seem to be calling for, which is I don't understand, why don't we just escalate more? It really is astonishing that this is where the media is at. It would be great if the media did the opposite and was always trying to find an off-ramp, but instead they're always looking for a way to get us more on edge. And by the way, that's why a lot of these guys are hired, because they're conventional wisdom spewing machines. They're giving you the Pentagon's viewpoint. They're giving you the intelligence agency's viewpoints. They have people in the intelligence agencies and in the Pentagon who they listen to, and they're just stenographers to those people. So they think they're the ones who are truth tellers. They're the ones who are keeping it real. And that, Biden's basically being a pussy by only trying to implode the economy, of Russia. So anyway, there you have it. They took away the thin veneer of respectability, and they've gone all in on hey, World War III, maybe we should threaten that.